Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight, 4 employees of the Children's Emergency Hostel relieved of their duties. Meanwhile, COVID police expressing concerns about Arawak Cay. And a minister insists our Grand Bahama is building back stronger. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Minister of Social Services Frankie Campbell confirming this afternoon that 4 staff members from the Children's Emergency Hostel have been relieved of their duties pending a police investigation into a video showing several children at the home being beaten. The undated video went viral on social media earlier this week, and Campbell says officials think the event took place at the end of 2020.
I'm here this afternoon, regrettably, to advise you that an investigation by the National Child Protection Council reveals that there is sufficient information to refer this matter to the police for an official investigation. And that is what we have done. This sad occasion forces us now to review our protocol.
The children were beaten with what appears to be a stick. In the 8-minute video, the children were lined up to receive their punishment. It's unclear why they were beaten. Other children and adults watched as the scene unfolded. Although the video had no sound, several children appeared to cry out as they were struck repeatedly. A few minutes into the video, a few more adults joined in. Several women were seen holding children down as they were beaten. An adult in a wheelchair also beat a child as another attempted to hold that child still. Campbell reiterated that only the home's administrator is authorized to use physical discipline on the children.
This sad occasion forces us now to review our protocols across the board. Yes, there are 3 homes, I think, that are owned by the government. 3 that are owned by the government, and the others are privately owned, but we are in partnership with them. We give them a subsistence, and we have oversight of them because the children are, in fact, our children.
There are currently 24 children at the Children's Emergency Hostel. Campbell says they'll receive independent counseling.
The children involved from the emergency hostel will be the beneficiaries of independent counseling. And what I mean by independent, counseling that is not connected to the ministry or to the National Child Protection Council or to the board itself.
Overcrowding at Arawak Cay remains a concern for the COVID-19 enforcement unit. Officer in charge, Chief Superintendent Zhivago Dame, says weekends are the most challenging. Jasmine Brown reports.
Arawak Cay, well, we understand that a lot of the vendors out there are doing their best to follow the protocols, but we find that on particular nights, at Sunday nights, that a lot of people tend to find their way to Arawak Cay.
That's Chief Superintendent Zhivago Dames describing how hundreds of people flock to Arawak Cay every weekend. Dames' comments comes weeks after Arawak Cay vendors told Our News that they were concerned with large crowds gathering outside stalls and in nearby parking lots.
And that actually is a concern for us. Because you know that we are still in this pandemic.
During a national address on November 8th, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced spots such as Arawak Cay and Potters Cay could resume outdoor dining after COVID-19 infection rates on New Providence decreased. The vendors were initially allowed to reopen in June, but shut down a few weeks later as the Bahamas experienced the second wave. While some vendors insisted they were being harassed by the COVID police, President of the Arawak Cay Conch Fish and Food Vendors Association and owner of Red Snapper, Rodney Russell, has said the COVID ambassadors have been a much-needed help for business owners. Dame says the ambassadors are just there to do their jobs.
And we want to ensure that we continue to see our numbers trend down, and so where we find large gatherings as Arawak Cay, we would tend to go out there and try to ensure that the protocols are being followed.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The need for food assistance is not slowing down, according to 2 NGO officials who say when the National Food Distribution Task Force completes its work, they'll continue to work feverishly to raise funds to feed those in need. Julian Gray tells us more.
More people than we have on the list are coming forward that still need help. It's been a mammoth task providing food assistance during the pandemic, according to Bahama's Feeding Network Executive Director Philip Smith. Before the pandemic, Smith said they were feeding about 12.5% of the population, and now that figure has jumped to about 30%, or 120,000 people. Hands for Hunger volunteer and community events coordinator Precious Fortune Thompson said COVID has presented a lot of challenges, but they've had to push through and expand their operation to meet the growing demand for assistance.
We've now taken over larger areas of New Providence. We've seen a drastic increase in our numbers. So right now we're looking to provide even more food this year, the beginning of this year, for January, February, and March. It's a very big increase.
Now, Smith said the $10 million the government dished out for this third phase of food assistance may need to be extended to NGOs even after the task force has finished its work.
We plan to do as best we can, but I think what you're going to have is that the government may find that they may have to give some additional funds to take us beyond March.
With hotels placing employees back on furlough, Smith said they'll be servicing 18,000 homes at least until the middle of the year. Both Smith and Fortune Thompson said they're in the fight against hunger for the long haul and encourage the public to continue to support nonprofits.
Well, no donation is too small. So restaurants, if you have any surplus foods, you can just give us a call and, we'll be willing to accept it. Also, the general public, if you have any canned items laying around, you can donate that to us. And also you can donate through our website, www.handsforhunger.org.
For our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
After two F&M MPs left the party to become independent candidates or join the official opposition, the party now has 7 seats to fill ahead of the next general election. F&M Chairman Carl Culmer said that process has begun and is expected to be completed soon. Berthany McDermott has that.
Free National Movement Chairman Carl Culmer says the party is preparing to announce new candidates in the next general election. Culmer says the party is currently looking to fill seats held by the Progressive Liberal Party or independent candidates.
That, like I said earlier, will take a few weeks because we have a number of persons who have applied for those seats. We want to get our candidates out a year ahead of time. As you were, like the last election, we had our people in place 2 years prior to the election. Our candidates, paraphernalia, teams were on the ground 2 years prior to election.
In October 2019, Centerville Member of Parliament Reese Chipman quit the party to become an independent. Then in December 2019, Golden Isles MP Vaughn Miller also resigned from the party and joined the PLP in September 2020.
I'm surprised to see the volume of applications that have come in for those I would say 7 seats.
But what about the Pine Ridge constituency? Since taking office, outspoken Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine has been a thorn in the government's side, opposing the decision to increase value-added tax to 12% and the decision to lease Townsend Mall from then Cabinet Minister Brent Simonet. We asked the F&M chairman if the party intends to nominate the outspoken MP for a second time.
Pine Ridge is a seat that will be determined by the people that live in that constituency. McAlpine said he's an F&M. But that privilege will be given to the people of Pine Ridge to say whether or not he's worthy of a nomination or able to represent them in the House.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
A minister is optimistic despite new U.S. travel rules, but the return of the cruise industry, anybody's guess. Those stories when Our News comes back from the break.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Minister of State for Finance, Kwesi Thompson, says he expects travel rules for international travelers to the United States to have an impact on tourism arrivals in Grand Bahama.
I think we're going to have to wait and see how that affects the tourism numbers. I think it will have some effect on the tourism numbers, given that persons who come to the Bahamas will have to be quarantined when they return back to the United States, and I think that's probably one of the biggest effects that you will have.
Despite the anticipated negative fallout, Thompson says there are still advantages that the Bahamas can leverage.
We are still, in terms of proximity, a very favored country when it comes to travel. And given the fact that persons who would still want to travel, that they may be looking for a close location to be able to travel to. So that's a positive thing for us.
Thompson also expects an aggressive vaccine rollout in the United States to pay dividends.
That will have positive effects on us, because the quicker they are able to manage their numbers, the more positive effects it will have on us in terms of them traveling to us.
Nearly 1 year after the COVID-19 pandemic brought the cruise ship industry to a grinding halt, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says officials have no idea when that industry will resume. He said the Bahamas is still in a wait-and-see mode, given the fact that the cruise industry is still in the clutches of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Apparently they have a path to complete. They are in the process of completing that path, but exactly when they will resume their service is anyone's guess.
By the end of February, cruise lines will be close to 1 year with almost zero revenue, with many smaller lines on the brink of financial ruin.
The cruise ships are very much in the grasp of the CDC. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control in the United States, is the entity that is going to evaluate whether when and if a cruise company can resume its service. And every month it seems to get pushed back rather annoyingly, but there's nothing we can do about that here except wait.
Last month, both Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean International announced a suspension of sailing through the end of February 2021 for most of their global itineraries. Both cruise lines released statements explaining that they're still working through the stringent guidelines set by the CDC before they can begin taking on paying passengers. Police reported a slight decline in the number of complaints lodged against members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force last year. According to the Royal Bahamas Police Force's 2020 statistics, complaints declined by 2%, with 149 complaints in 2020 compared to 152 complaints in 2019.
Complaints against police continue to decline. All right? So this speaks to this transparency.
Police Commissioner Paul Roll also revealed this week that 37 disciplinary cases for 2020 ended with conviction and resulted in terminations, resignations, reductions in rank, reduction in seniority, and fines. He said that included officers in ranks from constable to superintendent. Meantime, there are still 44 complaints for 2020 that are currently under investigation, while 21 cases were withdrawn, 30 cases were unfounded, and 17 cases pending trial. When our news comes back from the break, Bahamas Air not likely to get that CDC waiver. We've got more when we come back.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Welcome back. It is unlikely Bahamas Air will be eligible for a waiver from the CDC's new order that requires all travelers into the United States to have a negative COVID-19 test. Bahamas Air Chief Executive Officer Tracy Cooper said after analyzing the requirements, they don't think they'll qualify.
But that waiver is premised on if the country of origin has the ability or does not have the ability to test for COVID, to do the pre-test. So countries like Haiti and others that are having difficulties with the pre-test, airlines flying out of those countries can make an application to CDC. In the case of the Bahamas, seeing that we have good testing facilities, I'm not sure if that would apply to the Bahamas and by extension not Bahamas Air.
Airlines that apply and are approved for that waiver will only hold that exemption for 14 days before they must reapply. As travel is still suppressed, Cooper said they probably won't see pre-pandemic revenue levels for a while. They're hoping as more people get vaccinated, they'll begin to travel.
There are multiple vaccines that are now being available on the market or coming to the market. And I believe that Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca and a few others are now on the market that is now making vaccination something that seems as if it's going to catch traction. Mm-hmm. The good thing about that is that a lot of countries, and especially the ones that the Bahamas and Bahamas Air by extension is dealing with, particularly the U.S., seem to be doing a good job with the vaccines.
Grand Bahama's building back better, according to a cabinet minister stationed on that island. That's coming up when our news returns.
Basketball is back, baby, and so is NBA League Pass, only with Rev Trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free, along with incredible prizes including a brand new 50-inch smart TV, NBA gear, and more. With tons of prizes and gear, signing up for Trio is the best on and off-court move this year. Just call 601-8992 or visit www.rev.bs/promotions/trio. Sign up for Rev Trio today and enjoy NBA League Pass absolutely free.
Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, Iram Lewis, is insisting that infrastructural improvements are a major part of the rebuilding of Grand Bahama after Hurricane Dorian, among other storms, have caused major damage on the island. Speaking about the Fishing Hole Road, which had to be rebuilt, Lewis says it ended up being a lesson.
The whole idea was to build it back better. Dorian exposed the weaknesses in the design and in the construction. Since Dorian, we redesigned it, reconstructed, it is built back better. The courthouse, built back better, is in better shape than since it was constructed.
Lewis says increased funding has boosted efforts.
With respect to the schools, in the past, some $800,000 was allocated for school repairs. This year, over $5 million was spent to ensure that the specification was improved on, the construction process was improved on, the management was improved on, so all of the schools have been built back better. Smith Point Seawall, the whole idea is to build back better. Minister mentioned the road leading between from Pelican Point coming towards Star Oil. We are not only repaving it, we are building it back better.
Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire newsroom, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, everybody.